All right, guys. Hello and welcome to Truth and Transparency. A quick little Saturday afternoon dose of Fight for a Family and Sheldon Jeter Jr. and Rachael Del Tondo. Whoa. Again, hello and welcome. Again, Sheldon Jeter Jr., Rachael Del Tondo. Today's quick little 411. It'll just be over like 30 minutes, 35 minutes. Give people a chance to get in chat. And I got a little intro for you. Hope you guys are all enjoying your weekend. Throw your earbuds in. Do your vacuuming. Get your true crime on. Again, hi to Muffy, Boston. Boston's working hard. Open. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh, there it is. Okay. I'll play this minute 15 clip just a couple times here for you. I'll share it. Let's see. Oopsies. I just want to see what it looks like. If this works. See, when I go to big screen, it doesn't go there.
So it's this program that doesn't share with
Wasn't that nuts? All right, guys. Could you hear that on your end? I want you to see if you could hear it. Sorry, just working on a couple different things here. You could hear it? Okay, hold on though. I want to see if you can hear this. Come on, Sunny. Okay, she said no. Okay, perfect. Hold on one second. Let's see. That's really weird that it wouldn't do it like that if I want to share screen. Oh yeah, here it is. Okay, so that should work now. Let me see something. All right. That's what I wanted to do. All right. Look at your screen, see if it's doing it. Oh, I didn't show that. That's why. Wait, I swear I thought I shared it. See, it's not even there. It's like kicking it out.
Share the entire screen. Remove all that.
That's weird.
I think 'cause it's a program.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Share stream was canceled. Why? Why was it canceled?
Didn't you just hit exit?
I can do it without it. That's super weird. All right, guys. Well, sorry about that for you. I get to enjoy it, and you guys don't. You guys will enjoy it when I post it all, so it'll be fine. Whatever. Okay, you guys can hear whispering. Oh, that's great. I don't know. Whatever. All right, the car incident is really important in the Rachael Del Tondo case because that is actually what leads to Rachel's murder in 2018. Let me see if I do this. I wonder if my screen's just not sharing, period. Let's go. Let's see if I can do it.
Andy Sheehan's here with the latest on this. Andy.
Well, Ken, controversy continues to swirl around the Aliquippa police, but today the city solicitor said Chief Couch's removal had nothing to do with the Del Tondo murder investigation. In the midst of the highest profile homicide investigation in the city's history, the Aliquippa Council voted unanimously last night to remove its police chief. But today, the city solicitor insisted the two are not related.
There's been some speculation and some innuendo that this is in some way related to the Del Tondo murder and things like that. That's completely false, all right? It has nothing to do with it.
The solicitor said the chief's removal involves only Couch's job performance and internal accusations within the department.
It's an issue related to him and his performance with his job and with the police officers. That's why he's placed on administrative leave.
You recall that the Aliquippa police have been under a cloud since a police incident report involving Del Tondo and a juvenile in a parked car was improperly leaked last November.
Okay. All right. Now, this is the incident report. Okay. So this is what people don't want to talk about, and this is what people need to talk about. If you want to talk about the Rachael Del Tondo homicide, unsolved, and everything to do with Sheldon Jeter Jr., you have to talk about the 2016 incident. In 2016, Rachael Del Tondo, her vehicle was spotted. At the time, they did not know that it was Rachael Del Tondo's vehicle, but a police officer approached a vehicle. Rachael Del Tondo was the driver around 1:52 a.m., February 7th. The passenger in that vehicle was a minor, Sheldon Jeter Jr. In 2016, Sheldon was a high school student at Aliquippa High. Rachael Del Tondo was a teacher at a different school, PA Cyber. Aliquippa is very small, 9,000 people. Maybe to some of you guys that's large, but a lot of people know a lot of people. They know each other in Aliquippa. Rachael Del Tondo was dating and had been for a while Frank Atropa. A lot of ties to the community, businessman, wealthy. Speculation of, how the wealth was obtained, but nonetheless, Frank Atropa, a big name in Aliquippa. Sheldon Jeter, a football and basketball player for Aliquippa. Immediately when an officer would have approached Rachael Del Tondo's vehicle, found out that it was Rachael, found out that it was a juvenile male, there are appropriate steps to take, and those steps were not taken. Some have claimed that it was a cover-up, that they were helping Rachael, that they were covering up the fact that, they did not want Rachael Del Tondo to lose her job. Now, that is speculation, but hang tight.
Sparking a state police investigation of the department. Adding to the intrigue, the state police also raided the Aliquippa City Hall in February, seizing computers and files related to payroll and pensions. Still, the solicitor said these investigations are separate from the chief's removal.
We have to understand that they're conducting that investigation separately from the Del Tondo murder, separately from what happened with the chief of police and the personnel issue.
And while there are...
Now, can it be that Couch's removal has nothing to do with the Rachael Del Tondo murder? yes, but who was involved in helping uncover the fact that there was police officers, possibly chiefs and mayors, high up board members participating in fudging numbers for payroll. Now I'm going to replay this again because we're going to go back to talk about Rachael Altando's unsolved homicide. Rachael was murdered 2018 in May. What led to the car incident, what happened after the car incident versus what should have happened, and if police would have done the right thing and done their jobs, would Rachael Altando still be alive today? So here we go. Again, take a look here.
Rachael Deltando, the Aliquippa Police Department has been followed by a cloud of controversy.
Last night, Aliquippa City Council voted to place the police chief on leave. Investigator Andy Sheehan's here with the latest on this. Andy.
Well, Ken, controversy continues to swirl around the Aliquippa.
Now, first thing I want to point out that the raid happened, and that was in March. There was stuff going on in February and March of 2018. Okay, the car incident again is in February of 2016. So that would be 2 years after. So this car incident happens. Rachael Altando is engaged to Frank Atropa. A week after this car incident, because he was at the Super Bowl, allegedly. And when he gets back from being out of town, so he's away, Frank Atropa, her fiance, is away. She supposedly is in this vehicle with Sheldon. The police claim there was no wrongdoing. It was this woman was talking to this male. They knew each other, and they let Rachael drive home. There was only one vehicle there, and then Sheldon was, his parents were never notified as a minor, and it would be all speculation as to how Sheldon got home, who drove him home, other than what you're going to hear from the police that do not make a police report. There's no police report filed. Or you want to say incident report. However, this incident report surfaces and is made in May of 2017. It doesn't surface until October 2017. Rachael Altando was put on leave because of this incident report. Rachael Altando then begins talking to the Beaver Countyans, John Paul. It is alleged that Rachael Altando then begins starting to talk to the state police. She says that she's in fear of her life. She's in fear of the police department. She's never said once that she was in fear of Sheldon Jeter Jr. And that she said that she was also in fear of her fiance. Again, no word ever said about Sheldon and being afraid of Sheldon. It's been about the Aliquippa Police Department and her fiance. Now remember, those of you guys that don't know the story, the timeline of everything is very important because everything in Aliquippa comes back to if it's a small town and people talk, well, the streets keep on getting it wrong in Aliquippa. They got it wrong back then, and they got it wrong in 2001. But that's what the police bank on. The police want things to get leaked so that the community handles shit on their own. Meaning, if there's a problem, I'm going to leak wrong information so that you take care of my problem. It's been going on in Aliquippa for years. Was Rachael Altando ever even talking to the police, to AGs, to the state police? John Paul alleges that they spoke, her mom says that they spoke to John Paul, which I have reason to believe that that's accurate. But who knew that Rachael Del Tondo was talking to John Paul, which is the Beaver Countyan. And the Beaver Countyan is the guy that is pumping out all of this stuff with these sources and being the media that's putting the pressure on, he wants to say that he's uncovering, corruption and this, that, and other. No, all you uncovered, okay, was what? Big wigs shaving some hours. Goes and creates complete chaos that, in my opinion, the leak of the incident report, whoever was being told that Rachael was speaking to people, you jeopardize and you put Rachael Del Tondo in complete jeopardy. Her life. She said it. She was getting death threats. She's telling you she's getting death threats. She's your source and you don't protect her, and she is dead within 6 months. Now, all I can tell you is that no wonder why nobody is talking to the Beaver Countyan, and no wonder why he hasn't produced anything in months. Please, if you do have a membership, you're going to keep on getting charged. You're going to have to do something about that with your credit card company. But there's this car incident. What should have happened is if everybody does their job, okay, what happens? But why didn't anybody do their job? What were they covering? If nothing happened, you write up an incident report and you go along your merry little way. Nobody wants to take this angle, which is, well, maybe somebody wanted something over on Frank or over on Rachael. This would be a great opportunity to blackmail either one of them. If you want to have sex with Rachael, could you blackmail Rachael with this incident report? Absolutely. If you wanted, hey, this is Frank Atropa's fiance, and if people think that this got buried because that's her man and he has ties and strings and can do whatever, well, then why did they break up a week later and end the engagement? And eventually that was the end. They may have had their little spats of, here and there hooking up and doing things for public reasons with business. But ultimately, if Frank was calling in any favors, well, I would think that you're going to be staying with that person, not getting back your huge expensive ring. So the blackmail and the police not doing their job all points to that's Aliquippa Police Department. They're lazy, they're incompetent, and they're flat out corrupt. Who was there for that incident report? Who was there for that incident? That would be none other than, imagine that, Ken Watkins, one of the officers. And then Fran Conkle. But why was Sheldon's mom never told about this? Sheldon is a minor. He's in a vehicle with none other than, this isn't just some older woman. This is Frank Atropa's fiance. Everybody knows who Frank is, and you're not going to sit here and tell me that everybody knew who Rachael was, because they did. So, this incident, though, no one's talking about it. Nobody says a word about it. 2016, this happens in February. Aliquippa goes on to win the state basketball tournament in March. Okay. So then you got the summer of 2016. Then you're getting into 2017. You got 2017. Somebody wanted to get their hands on this in 2017 in the spring. April, May-ish. It's written up and printed out, but it doesn't surface until October of 2017. at the end of October, right before what? Election? November, right? Why? And then what people didn't realize is that once this got out, this old double-edged sword that whoever did this wasn't thinking, and when this got out, that means there's no more blackmail available. That means that who's ever trying to and was blackmailing Rachael with this incident, well, you don't have blackmail on her anymore. So now what? Rachael can just say whatever because she's not in fear of, this is going to come out and it's going to ruin your life. Well, don't you think Rachael Altondo had a pretty big lawsuit on her hands with the fact that Aliquippa put out her personal and private information? And don't you think that Sheldon and Sheldon's family had a pretty big lawsuit that the same thing happened to him? If people want to talk about the Stephen Avery case and that there was all these millions of dollars to set him up for that murder, well, money motivates people to do stupid things. Thank you, I will. So if you really want to break down the Rachael Altondo investigation and homicide, it doesn't start in 2018. Everything to do with Rachael Altondo begins in 2016 with this incident, and then everything that would have happened between February 2016 until May 2018, when she was shot 9 times in the back. That is not a crime of passion, unlike what everybody wants you to believe out there. Rachael Altondo being sprayed in the back 9 times is not a crime of passion. That is what the Beaver County put out in over 100 articles so that every single possible person in Beaver County would see, and his target, the guy that did all of this, Sheldon Jeter. How could Sheldon receive a fair trial in Beaver County? The answer is he could not. And he will not. If the media didn't murder Sheldon, then maybe Sheldon wouldn't be convicted right now. But since 2017, when that leak happened, until present day when Sheldon went to trial for not Rachael Altondo's homicide, but a different homicide, all of Beaver knew exactly who Sheldon Jeter Jr. was in what he was allegedly in connection to, which was Rachael Altondo. Now you mix that with one of the jury members on his jury was the neighbor of Rachael Altondo. You don't see anybody talking and writing about that. People are acting like it doesn't even matter. Who broke that news? Who found that out? Me. There's not one article that the Beaver County wrote about any juror. Nobody wants to talk about this juror. Nobody wants to talk about the numerous judicial errors that took place. And nobody wants to talk about how Sheldon was crucified in the media. And nobody wants to talk about how the only person that was reporting anything to do with Sheldon's trial was a gentleman that couldn't even protect Rachael Altondo when she told him that her life was in complete danger and that she got death threats saying that she was not going to see the end of 2018 And guess what? She didn't. He used Rachel Del Tondo as a source. His husband was and still is a police officer. And he did nothing to protect his source, Rachel Del Tondo, who ultimately was murdered and shot 9 times in the back. And yes, he's going to tell the world that he believes that Rachel Del Tondo wasn't murdered because of what she knew and what she told. It was because of her personal choices in life. What was a personal choice for her to talk to you? It was a personal choice to put out the leak. Why would the media leak that and put that out? Sheldon's private information, Rachel's private information. Why would you put targets on people's backs and think that that's okay? It most certainly matters who is part of your jury and how they became part of your jury and what they did while they were supposed to be, not talking to anybody. And it was complete biased reporting across the board. Perjury was committed left and right. And I blame Sheldon's defense team for not being able to get that out and show that. Aliquippa will continue to have unsolved homicides after unsolved homicides if police aren't doing their jobs, whether it's on purpose, whether it's because they're lazy. But guys, corruption isn't just in Aliquippa Police Department. People grow, you may start off as a patrolman, but guess what? Now you're what? Oh, now I'm the DA.
Aliquippa Police, but today the city solicitor said Chief Couch's removal had nothing to do with the Del Tondo murder investigation.
Who changes police chiefs? Couch to Joe Percival to then Sealock during the most crucial time of a murder investigation. Do you think that they could have, held off on the fact that they had to get rid of Couch due to some payroll issues? I mean, we're talking about a murder investigation. And PSP was there. The Beaver detective, Timmy Patrick, was on site. When Rachel Del Tondo was murdered, why did nobody want to touch it? Why wouldn't PSP, why would nobody touch Rachel Del Tondo's case? Because they quote unquote said that Aliquippa fucked it up so bad. Well, how can Aliquippa Police Department fuck it up so bad if these other agencies are on site? You know what I think? I think Joe Percival's full of shit. That's what I think. He talks out of both asses, his mouth and his ass. That's what I think. I think it's a really head scratcher when the assistant police chief isn't called in to a murder investigation and would be there. along with the police chief, when something like this would happen in a small 9,000 person town.
Investigation. In the midst of the highest profile homicide investigation in the city's history, the Aliquippa Council.
This is what they're doing. This is what they did at the here we go. We're having a board meeting, and we're just going to go ahead and boom.
Voted unanimously last night to remove its police chief. But today, the city solicitor insisted the two are not related.
There's been some speculation and some innuendo that this is in some way related to the Del Tondo murder and things like that. That's completely false, all right? It has nothing to do with it.
The solicitor said the chief's removal involves only Couch's job performance and internal.
Well, what does job performance lead to, though? Rachel said that she was in fear of the police and that she was in fear of her, what would be her ex-fiance.
Internal accusations within the department.
It's an issue related to him and his performance with his job and with the police officers. That's why that he's placed on administrative leave.
You recall that the Aliquippa police have been under a cloud since a police incident report involving Del Tondo and a juvenile in a parked car was improperly leaked last November, sparking a state police investigation of the department. Adding to the intrigue, the state police also raided the Aliquippa City Hall in February, seizing computers and files related to payroll and pensions.
Again, John Paul, this was all his stuff from his sources, which were Matt Motz, Joe Percival. It had nothing to do with Rachel Del Tondo, was no part of this. This isn't what she was talking about.
Still, the solicitor said these investigations.
But did it somehow get leaked? That if Matt was really the one talking about it and Joe, are you guys going and blowing and saying that somebody else did it? Again, putting somebody in jeopardy and putting a target on their back.
Are separate from the chief's removal.
We have to understand that they're conducting that investigation separately from the Del Tondo murder, separately from what happened with the chief of police and the personnel issue.
And while there are unsubstantiated reports that the chief is the target of a new state police investigation, sources do point to internal squabbles and local politics as reasons for his removal.
And yes, local politics could be at play here, but the fact remains that these controversies in Aliquippa only continue to mount and feed all kinds of speculation. Meanwhile, the investigation into the Del Tondo murder shows no signs of coming to a conclusion anytime soon.
And it still is nowhere near. Their hope was to pin Rachel or Sheldon Jeter Jr. for this homicide, labeling him a murderer, and then being able to then get him then for the Rachel Del Tondo homicide. Unfortunately, their spot blew up when I don't think they ever saw truth and transparency coming. And the juror, but again, if the police department does their job with that incident that ruined Rachel's life, that ruined Sheldon's life, ultimately that incident and then it not being handled properly as it should have by law enforcement. So who is to blame? And then the leak, again, how is the city not being sued by both the Del Tondos and the Jeters? How does someone's private information from a file get leaked, get compromised. If that happens in any other town, they're getting sued. How is that leak not ultimately responsible? How is that incident not ultimately responsible? For then think about it. Just 6 months after that, this woman is murdered. And you people want to say that this has nothing to do with it? It has everything to do with it. Absolutely everything to do with it. And it wasn't Sheldon Jeter Jr. that zero politics and computer hacking skills or anything like that. It has nothing to do with Sheldon. Sheldon's information was compromised. Rachael Altando's information was compromised. Also, a situation that was deemed nothing happened, remotely anything happened, was turned into whatever they wanted to make it with the media. And so if you want to sit here and believe what John Paul from the Beaver Countyan has wrote over 100 articles with the same shit narrative, go right ahead. But it's not the truth. All these sources that I blew up their spot, and wait for it, because all these recordings are coming out. They're lying, and it was to do anything that they possibly could so that John Paul would not write about them. Period. So good. Well, that's your dose right there of, if you want to know more about Rachael Altando, Sheldon Jeter Jr., I'll be breaking down, all of that stuff. But if you really want to know about Rachel's murder, about why Sheldon's wrongfully accused and convicted, it's an agenda. And you have to look at who gained. Why didn't anybody go and investigate and ask why Cyber PA suspended Rachael Altando? If there was no wrongdoing, and it's a private school that does not, they can do whatever they want. But why was Rachael Altando suspended with pay? I think that Rachael Altando deserves to have her name cleared, and I think that Cyber PA needs to be approached by a law firm representing the Altandos. There was no active police investigation, so why Cyber PA would suspend with pay Rachael Altando, there's nothing there for that. Normally, your comment would be, during a police investigation, we are, letting the police handle it. During this time, this person is suspended with pay until it comes out with, what the finding is. Well, there was no police report. There was no incident. It was never filed. So why was Rachael Altando suspended from her job? I know that Rachael Altando hired a lawyer. I'll be speaking more about that. But I think that people really need to pay close attention, and I'll walk you through the steps of what really transpired between 2016, when that incident happened, and her murder in 2018. Also, please consider joining Fight for a Family. Your kind donation will help support the families who are victims of our justice system. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. As always, be kind and chat love. And I will have more coming to you guys with news in the Sheldon Jeter Jr. appeal for the homicide of Tyreek Pugh. That date was extended and will be filed in April for his written appeal to the Superior Court. That's where the expectation of an overturn of what Judge Tesla did, or I should say didn't do, but also Lindsay pardon. I've had a lot of family members and friends of Lindsay's reach out lately. I applaud you for reaching out, for being here, and over the next 48 hours, there's going to be a couple more releases of stuff to do with Lindsay's case as well. Again, thank you for the support, mods. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you soon.